his in-depth study of Gita and Bhagavatam. He has conducted several mega youth events benefiting thousands and thousands of youths in North India. He's been running 8 youth centers and 15 children's centers for educational, health, and spiritual upliftment of Indian youngsters. He's also assisting in Gita programs for youth in USA and places like San Jose, Los Angeles, and Boston for universities like Stanford, UC Berkeley, Santa Clara, etc. Okay. And there's much more to say. Prabhu is a very friendly person. He can connect with anyone. And when he shares his experience, you will not get to know how the time passes by. We just had an experience this afternoon. So we would like to welcome him by 3 times chanting Hari Bo! Hari Bo! So there are youths joining online also. So and it's also being streamed on YouTube. So there will be many people joining.
So, do I need that? I don't need that, right?
No.
Um, or maybe I'll just read the verse.
Yeah.
Or you can give me the book, yeah. Either way. You do you have one?
It's already open.
Okay. Thank you. This okay. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Very happy and grateful to be here amongst all of you in this beautiful and historical temple of Shri Shri Radha Govinda. Historical because today morning itself we heard how this temple came about to be in 1982, and today is that day. Yeah, exactly. So 1982, on this very day, we got this temple, right? Yeah. So Srila Prabhupada here in the same streets, he actually began sowing the seeds of this entire movement of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And today, International Society for Krishna Consciousness has more than 3,000 centers all over the world. Hari Bol. People come to America, Indians come to America to get IT jobs. So there are 93, 94% countries of the world where there are Indian software engineers. But there are more than that percentage countries of the world where there is a ISKCON Radha Krishna temple. So Krishna is more smart than Indian IT engineers. And after Bible, which is generally distributed free of cost, it's heavily sponsored. Bhagavad Gita is the highest distributed, I mean, in one sense you can say sold, paid book distributed all over the world. More than 55 crore, 550 million copies of ISKCON's Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is have been distributed all over the world. Haribo. Why am I sharing all this? It all began here. Amazing, isn't it? Sometimes people ask, there was one of our senior devotees, he was at one airport in US and their flight got delayed because of fog. And there was this lady who was very much into sustainability and environmental concerns and carbon footprint and all that stuff. So she just challenged this devotee. She just saw is one of her senior devotees in the movement, and he was sitting there chanting this Hare Krishna on the beads. And she said, What will this chanting, this rubbing the beads off will do? Anything for the world. And I've seen you guys chanting and dancing on the streets. What does that do anything for the world? Isn't it? Good question, right? Looks like a checkmate. What have you guys done for the environment? What have you done for the protecting all the species? What have you done for this planet? And people thought, yes, maybe he'll say some mystical thing, some kind of psychic effect, and then he'll just move on. He said, for each American, for every average American individual in his lifetime of 72 years, around 700 to 800 animals are killed, and that creates a lot of ecological impact. And Srila Prabhupada made hundreds and thousands of people all over the world, you know, take up to spiritual life. And one of the side effects was to care for the animals, care for the nature, not just do the math. And he said Srila Prabhupada was the highest environmentalist who lived ever on this planet. Hari Bol. I got a gold medal 23 years back in National Math Olympiad in India. So I guess I can I can say this is a good math. So it all began here. These are the streets Prabhupada roamed about, very holy for people like us who are trying to be devotees of Krishna. So I welcome all of you and really thank all of you to be taking interest in the most important money. Yeah, this is also money. It's called as Sukriti in Sanskrit, which is termed as spiritual credit. Just like you have a credit card, okay, or you have a credit score right here. So this is your credit score building up to attain Krishna's lotus feet. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that Lord Chaitanya, who was non different from Krishna himself, he would only visit someone's home to honor prasad, to accept foodstuffs, and then bless that person, okay, to attain spiritual perfection. He would only do that with people, with families who are spiritual millionaires. Okay, so he would ask a question whenever someone would invite him. He would ask, "Are you a millionaire? You know, or are you a billionaire?" I think, yeah, billionaire, because in India we call it crorepati. So that's before that is lakpati. So it's like spiritual billionaire. So are you a spiritual billionaire? And the person would be like, okay, what does that mean? And he would say, how many holy names have you chanted in your life? And that money, that score of yours is eternal. This money will remain here only. At max, it will be transferred to your next kith and kin, right? But this score, it goes forever. And it takes you to a life forever. And Srila Prabhupada began all that knowledge from here. And it transformed so many people in this world. So many people. You know, I've traveled to a lot of places and in last 20 years or so, and I've seen like people, having miracles in their life just with this knowledge. So, I really congratulate you here because you had so many choices tonight as well as many other evenings, which you might have again and again chosen to come to this temple of Shri Shri Radha Govinda. Hmm. Thank you. My good fortune. So let's offer some prayers and discuss for a few minutes from the Gita. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम् श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त Swamin iti namine. नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादे पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरत्विषे नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So let's recite this verse from the Gita. This is fourth chapter, verse number 35. Yajñātva na punarmoham evam yasyasi pandava yena bhutani asheshani drakshasyaत्मन्य अथो मयि यज्ञात्वा न पुनर्मोहम् एवं यास्यसि पाण्डव येन भूतान्यशेषाणि द्रक्ष्यस्यात्मन्यतो मयि. Any of you would like to read the translation?
Having obtained real knowledge from a self realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine.
Yeah, thank you. So, in this verse, Lord Krishna is trying to explain the importance of transcendental knowledge or spiritual knowledge in our life. What do we get by attaining transcendental knowledge? Like people come to the temple for what? Usually, when someone goes to a mall, shopping mall, it's crystal clear like why is he going there, right? If a person goes to a hospital, it's crystal clear, right? If a person goes to a mechanic shop, right, a car dealer, it's crystal clear why is he going there. But when people go to temple, they're not very clear, you know. Some feel some they'll get some shanti, some peace. Some feel some kind of thing I'll get, you know. I don't know what. Some feel I'll get prasad. Some young Indian students, right? They come to temple for prasad. And you know, sometimes young boys they come to temple and they think like, you know, others don't know I'm coming for free prasad, free food. So he's smiling. I'm so smart. And devotees are also smiling. You don't know the cost of this. Wait for some time. Because after some time, Krishna will steal your heart along with the prasad. Yeah, Krishna does that. He's so amazing, actually. We all honored a lot of prasad. And look at our hairstyle now. Of course, it's just a joke, you know. But I mean to say, he really steals hearts. You know, he's that kind of person. So people come to temple for all kinds of reasons, actually. But Krishna is explaining here what is really the number one or the most essential, vital result or advantage of gaining spiritual knowledge. that you'll be freed from illusion. You'll be able to distinguish between the right and the wrong, truly. So let's read Prabhupada's purport here. The result of receiving knowledge from a self realized soul, or one who knows things as they are, is learning that all living beings are parts and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. The sense of an existence separate from Krishna is called Maya. Some think that we have nothing to do with Krishna, that Krishna is only a great historical personality, and that the Absolute is the impersonal Brahman. Factually, as it is stated in the Gita, this impersonal Brahman is the personal effulgence of Krishna. Krishna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the cause of everything. In the Brahma Samhita, it is clearly stated that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes. Even the millions of incarnations are only his different expansions. Similarly, the living entities are also expansions of Krishna. The Mayavadi philosophers wrongly think that Krishna loses his own separate existence in his many expansions. This thought is material in nature. We have experienced in the material world that a thing, when fragmentally distributed, loses its own original identity. But the Mayavadi philosophers fail to understand that absolute means that 1 plus 1 is equal to 1, and that 1 minus 1 is also equal to 1. This is the case in the absolute world. For want of sufficient knowledge in the absolute science, we are now covered with illusion, and therefore we think we are separate from Krishna. Although we are separated parts of Krishna, we are nevertheless not different from him. The bodily difference of the living entities is Maya, or not actual fact. We are all meant to satisfy Krishna. By Maya alone, Arjuna thought that the temporary bodily relationship with his kinsman was more important than his eternal spiritual relationship with Krishna. The whole teaching of the Gita is targeted towards this end, that a living being, as Krishna's eternal servitor, cannot be separated from Krishna, and his sense of being an identity apart from Krishna is called Maya. So, any illusion from the real enlightenment is called Maya. Okay. Maya literally means that which is not. So when we have a conception about ourselves or this world or anything other than the reality, that's called Maya. That's called illusion, Brahma, Moha. Okay. So, yeah. So let's discuss for some time what is this essential knowledge being given here. So Krishna is saying in this fourth chapter, which is the title of which is Transcendental Knowledge, that what is the value of attaining this knowledge in our life. Okay. See, knowledge is of various types. So there is material knowledge, like people go to universities and people go to various schools and they get some knowledge. That's fine, but that's only knowledge of matter. That doesn't help people transform their character. That doesn't actually give joy to people. That doesn't transform people's hearts or the quality of desires they have. Okay. So that's one level of knowledge. And that teaches us to manipulate matter and look at the result. I mean, it's fantastic. Like those people who attain those knowledge, like civil engineers and electronic engineers and chemical engineers, mechanical engineers, computer engineers, look at what they've done, right? A fantastic world. I mean, 30 years back, 40 years back, who would have thought of what we have today, what kind of technology we have today? And this new thing, AI, has like amazed everyone, literally. Maybe here the amazement phase is over, but not in India. It's really amazing. Similarly, you see there is knowledge like health knowledge. So people are becoming more and more nowadays aware about being vegan, or what, how do you call it? Vegan. Vegan, okay. And then yoga, okay. Like getting into yoga and organic foodstuffs, non-GMO, right? They're very buzzwords nowadays because people are becoming more and more aware. There's this one guy in India called Revant. So he advertises himself as food farmer, like that pharmaceutical farmer, PHAR. And so he's having a movement, hashtag label padega India. Like he has this movement that every Indian who buys anything from the stores, like any food stuff, packed food stuff, he should read the ingredients. Because often they'll say like, oh, we're coming up with the orange drink. But if you read the ingredients, it'll be 93% sugar. Yeah, that's tang. There is a there is a famous thing called Tang. So it advertises itself as an orange drink, but it's only 1% real orange. So they twist the rules and then they play around. you know. So he's like trying to change many things, and many people are becoming very aware and conscious about these things, by one person's endeavor. So that's health knowledge, right? People switch over to organic oils and organic foodstuffs. So I was thinking about this topic. So similarly, some people, they give advice like problem solving knowledge. Okay, like there was this lady who was a wife of a very pious husband in India, and this husband, almost every day he would call some holy people to his home for food. Sometimes 8 people, sometimes 15 people, sometimes 5 people, and his wife was getting frustrated because she has to cook, but she cannot say no to the husband also. You know, it'll create quarrels. So then the wife came up with an idea. Somebody knowledgeable gave her the idea. So one day, when this husband sent like 10 people for food, and they were sitting, and wife said, I'm just wait for a few minutes, like I'm just preparing and I'm going to serve. And the husband is also going to join in sometime. He's still in the office. So they suddenly saw that this lady came up with many tongs. Those tongs, like I don't know what you call them here. Tongs? Yeah. So she came up with many of them, and she was hiding them like under the pillow, under the sofa, okay, under the mattress, and many places in the drawer. They were wondering, like, this is quite strange. So they couldn't keep up the curiosity. So they said, like, can you just tell us what is it what you're doing? So she said, oh, this. My husband is like a little mad person. Somebody told him that if he heats tongs and pulls the skin of the holy people, then some kind of blessings come. After feeding them nice food. They said, what do you mean? No, don't worry. That's why I'm hiding all the tongs. Because he has kept many tongs, like just to make sure that nobody escapes. I'm hiding all of them. You don't have to worry. Be be peaceful. And then as she went inside the kitchen, they thought, how to be peaceful. We have come to a madman's home. He's a psychopath. And they immediately consulted each other, and better to leave right now while he's not here. And they just started, they left and they started running. That time only the husband returned. And there was this pile of tongs. And the husband said, what is this? And, why are they running? You know. So wife said, actually, you know, when I tried to serve them the food, they said that we'll only accept the food if you give us tongs in gift. I said, no, my husband doesn't give tongs in the gifts. He said, what the hell, we can easily give the tongs. She said, okay, you try. So he picked up all those tongs and ran behind them. And he said, hey, wait. Hey, wait. Sages looked back, and he's carrying all these tongs and coming. And they ran all the tong carrying. So wife was very happy, job done. So this is also some type of knowledge, like how you get out of some problems. you know. So there are so many types of people giving different type of knowledge. But the Gita says in ninth chapter that the highest knowledge, pavitram idam uttamam, superlatives, all superlatives. In 9.2, Gita says this knowledge, which Krishna is giving in the Gita, it is the highest knowledge. Why is it the highest knowledge? Let us talk about Arjuna himself, who is the center of Gita. Who was Arjuna? He was a great archer. He was a great Kshatriya, which meant he was a great king. He was born in probably the most cultured and the most uh, well-known family at that time in the planet. He had the best teacher. He was very well behaved, very well mannered. Okay. Even when Urvashi, the actual, literally the Miss Universe, like actually talking of the universe, she was on the heavenly planet. So she was literally Miss Universe. Even when she proposed to Arjuna, Arjuna had his character, in the right place. He his senses did not sway. And Arjuna himself was a pure-hearted person. He was a devotee and a friend of Sri Krishna himself. So Arjuna was extremely qualified person, but he was crying. He was in confusion when he got to crossroads in life. What should I choose? That's called illusion. And that time when he heard the Bhagavad Gita, he changed. After the Gita, the same Arjuna, he gets up and he says to Krishna, Krishna, thank you so much. Nashto moha smritir labdha tat prasadan maya achyuta sthitosmi kata sandhya karishye vachanam tava. Now I'm crystal clear. I'm confident and I know what is the right thing to be done. Thanks to you that you gave me this knowledge of the Gita. So this knowledge of the Gita transformed a person like Arjuna from a confused, crying baby, despite being all qualified, to a crystal clear, confident individual. Okay? So it gives you the ability to make decisions in life. You've heard of, definitely you've heard of Titanic, right? In today's terms, probably it was multi-billion-dollar ship, right? Titanic, the Titanic. What happened to Titanic? It collapsed, with some glacier, right? Something like that. Because it did not make the right turn in time. Because that communication was not done. So just because a wrong choice of direction or a late choice of direction, this multi-billion-dollar ship sank with all the elite people on board. So you see, multi-billion-dollar ship, but all it needed was a $1 compass. If you go to India, you can get 4 compass in $1. Right? Even today, like those little plastic ones, you know, people make it very easily. It's available in fairs and all, right? So a $1 compass could have saved in time, could have saved that ship. So the transcendental knowledge, the spiritual knowledge can give us that compass of life, that ability to make decisions, how to make the decisions. We may say I'm myself a data analyst, right? So I know how to take decisions. But for our kind information, many a times most of the people of this world have been wrong. I mean, look at where we have brought the world today. I remember when I was a kid, so it was around in 1989 or 1990. When I first time on a railway station, I saw that drinking water was being sold. Okay. Till then, drinking water was never sold in India, not in India. And I still remember, as a small kid, I ran to my father in the train who was already sitting in the train. And I went to him, Papa, they're selling, look, father, they're selling this water. He's asking me money for the water. My father said, come on, you want to buy something else or what? You know, don't lie to me. Who charges for water? I said, no, they're asking money. They're telling that other water is like dirty water. So when he himself came out, he was also amazed. He said, charging money for water? Because the modern man today has polluted everything. Air, water, land, and most importantly, the hearts. Right? Because of lack of spiritual knowledge, lack of spiritual direction. In Sanskrit, this is called as Viveka Buddhi. Viveka Buddhi means the intelligence to be able to distinguish between what's for our actual good and what's not for our actual good, beyond material life. Let me give you a very practical example, okay? One of my spiritual teachers is still there on the planet. I mean, he's a very senior person. He might be age 55 or 55, around something like that. So he's a financial consultant in Mumbai, and yeah, he has a wife and kids. So this he stays there, and he's pretty famous. Okay, his name is Anand Vrindavan Das. Maybe some of you might have heard of him. Have you? No, none. Okay, but he's quite famous among the devotees. So back in early 90s, he was a young man. So it was in 91 or 92 that one of his childhood friends, who was also a young man, he proposed a business idea to him. What was the business idea? He said, I have an idea which can make us um, multi-millionaires, multi-billionaires, okay, overnight. Overnight, not literally, but like very quick, very quick. Now, I don't know about here, but back in India in 1992, we were not a digital country. So, like things, uh, I mean, like when the banks would close on Friday or Thursday sometimes, and the Friday would be a holiday. So, like only on Monday you could see your things, or even in stock market and all. So he had a plan which had something to do with exploiting this loophole, because any money kept in the banks or in the stock exchange during those 3 days of the weekend, that money did not belong to anyone in one way, you know and he had a way to use that money beginning on the of the weekend and then ending on the beginning of the next Monday. And that was kind of legal, but actually it was illegal. Okay. And then he proposed this whole thing. And when they did the math, this guy was like, this Anand Vrindavan was, oh my god, this is, yeah, I don't know, it has been playing around.
You can continue.
Huh?
I just switch. You can continue.
um, it's better if you do and then I continue, because kind of disturbs. Yeah, it can happen.
I think we have to share it.
And you have to unmute probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sharing. It's sharing. Yeah, thank you. Sorry. Yeah. So where was I? Huh. So he proposed this thing that will be like very quick, will be like in the top 100 rich people of India. And it was so lucrative offer, isn't it? Who wouldn't fall for it? And he said, with my business intelligence and with your knowledge of stock market, we can, because he was pretty good in stock market. He was a young person who had done his expertise in that. So he said, like, we can make, as a team, we can make it very big. And this guy was like very happy. Now he was freshly becoming a devotee that time. He was visiting ISKCON temple. Okay. And he had recently got married back then. Like, so young person, okay. And he also had some ambitions, okay. And he saw it as an opportunity. Plus, he wanted to serve the temple. He wanted to see Gita spread fast, rapidly. But then it needed money as well as men. So, okay, devotees are there, but then what about the money, resources? So he saw an opportunity in this proposal. So he goes to his friend who was one of his seniors who was also a friend to him. Okay. So his name was Devamrit Das. So he was a monk in the temple in South Mumbai. He still is a monk. So he goes to him and then he says, like, this is what has come to me, this opportunity, and I want to go for it. So what do you say? And can you please give me your blessings? And this monk, this Devamrit Das, this Devamrit Prabhu, he was quite serious. He gravely thought about it, and then he said, I don't think so, you should go for it, if you honestly ask for my advice. And this person was aghast. He said, "Huh, don't you see there's a great opportunity? I mean, even like what amount of donations we get in an year for the temple, I can get like 1,000 times that every year, you know, and I can get rich as well." This monk still said, I'm telling you on the basis of the scriptures, based on the principles, because this is not right. This is cheating. Technically, you know, it's kind of a border thing, but that's what lust and greed are like that. You may begin with a very balanced composure, but then where it may take you, you don't know. You know. And he said, based on the Gita, I really don't want to encourage this. Sir, I don't want you to do it. But then it was his choice whether to do or not. And he was like literally You know that thing? What do they call here? Like they pull, na? Two teams pull. Tug of war. Oh yeah, right, right. They called tug of war. So that tug of war was going on in his mind, to do or not to do. Or he thought like, okay, let me do it for a year. You know? But then that thing was, that knowledge was ringing in his mind. No, no, no. But he said it is sinful and it'll drag me somewhere. You know, it's very risky. It's not worth it. Already my life is good. Even before this proposal came, I was satisfied, right? Now after the proposal came, I am in anxiety. So then many thoughts rang through his mind. Finally, he chose not to do it. Somehow, by the grace of the Lord or by the prayers of that Devamrit Prabhu, he chose not to do it. Okay. And then his friend was like so upset, so upset. He said, "You fool." I mean, he tried everything, like cajoling him, explaining to him, giving him better offers. Okay, I'll give you 50%. And even threatening him, abusing him, you know, but nothing worked. Somehow or other, he remained firm in his decision. Maybe his wife encouraged him. I don't know what was the thing, but somehow he's written all these things in an article. Okay, so I read that, and I've heard from him also. Then, after a year, this guy actually became extremely rich. He was all over the newspapers and the media many a times. And when he threw a party in a five-star hotel, India's top politicians, India's top cricketers, sports stars, India's top movie stars, Bollywood stars, they all were attending the party. And the only normal guy or the ordinary guy whom he invited in the party was this friend, Anand Vrindavan. And that was to humiliate him. Look at what I've got now. You know, there's a Hindi movie, okay, famous movie. जैसे, मेरे पास गाड़ी है, बंगला है, तुम्हारे पास क्या है? And then you know what he says? The other guy, मेरे पास माँ है. I have love. I have mother's love. You know, but the mother has rejected you because of your character. So this guy also said, "Look at me today. You know, what is there on the planet which I have not got? These politicians and these cricketers and these movie stars, they'll do anything for me. If I do like this, they'll dance for me because I'm paying them. Look at the money I have got." And it was, to be honest, like it must have been quite humbling for this son, because it was humiliating. Like, you know, he wanted to actually humiliate him, like, because you turned me down. But then he, by this time, this Anand Vrindavan Prabhu had become a very good devotee. So he was actually satisfied now. Now he smilingly said, "No, no, I don't want any piece of cake. You know, you have." And this guy again offered him, "I still offer you partnership, even equal partnership, because you have been my childhood friend. Together we can make it 10 times bigger than this." Now he didn't need consultation. He said, "Hari bol." I've got better wealth than this. Okay. Yeah, we are laughing today, but it's not easy. That time, you know, if we are in that place. Now what happens? Fast forward another year. This guy grows even bigger. Fast forward few more months. And suddenly one day, entire India is shocked because all over the newspapers and media, there are headlines. If any of you know about this, you would be knowing whom I'm talking about. Harshad Mehta. Hari Bol. So this Harshad Mehta was that friend of our Anand Vandan Prabhu. They attended school together, like elementary school together and everything. And today we might be naming Anand Vrindavan also along with Harshad Mehta. And there have been movies made on this. There have been books written on this. This is one of the negative case studies in the business schools. What you're not supposed to do. But even without the future, even without the case studies and business teaching, business school teachings, this guy knew the conclusion. What is not to be done. That is the effect of transcendental knowledge. By the way, he didn't even have transcendental knowledge fully, but he had someone who had the transcendental knowledge. And when that happened, this guy was caught, and he eventually died actually after spending some 20 years in jail. Like some years back, he died actually. Because what a life, for the rest of your life you're in imprisonment. And Anandanpur today, he's a very happy man, very successful businessman, a fantastic devotee. This devotee guides so many devotees. He's even on the YouTube, giving many classes and all. So his wife was like literally crying that Devamrit Prabhu, you saved us. Now that Devamrit Prabhu is also very famous, he's known as his own as Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj. He himself was a area manager in Standard Chartered Bank before he joined the temple. He himself was a big guy in like financial world, because in Mumbai to be a big guy in Standard Chartered Bank was in those days was quite a feat. So you see, uh, if someone has transcendental knowledge, or even if you have someone who has transcendental knowledge, it can give you viveka buddhi, the ability to make principal decisions, not the details. The details, of course, have to be worked out with material elements because we are in the material world, but principally, like that. So, even otherwise, like you see, for young people to not be addicted to drugs is a very big thing. I remember when I used to work with Oracle for like 17 years back. So, a couple of years after my undergrad, I worked. So I remember like in our office sometimes when there would be some team outings and all. So some of the people, some Indians or some Westerners, they would be like very surprised. You don't drink, huh? So yeah, I mean I drink water. Like why are you so surprised? So they would like looking at me up and down as if I am like a strange creature, some kind of alien coming from somewhere. And I wonder how is it today? That time it was like that. So, but this spiritual knowledge can save us. It can save people, from so many things unwanted they really don't want in their life. They're struggling with it. And even if we have some wrong habit, it's not that we are unqualified, disqualified from spiritual life. No, we're all the more qualified. If I'm more diseased, I need the doctor all the more. I'm more qualified to go visit a hospital, right? So another thing is, this knowledge also requires faith. It requires faith, and there has to be right source. Like, for example, uh, we recently had Vijayadashmi, right? Ramayana, Lord Ram winning over Ravana. So let's discuss for a few minutes an example from Ramayana, just to honor Lord Ram. So, Hare Krishna. Why don't you come ahead? Yeah. We're good people, we don't bite. So, I'm sure you all must have heard of the basic storyline of Ramayana. So forgive me for not going into it for the interest of time. But I'll just summarize. Like that there was this king Dashrath Maharaj of Ayodhya, and Ayodhya was like a picture perfect kingdom, and Dashrath's life was like really you can use him in advertisements like as an ideal. He was that kind of king, and this Dashrath, see, we may think everybody's like somebody's life is like that on this planet, but believe me, this planet has given a fair share of problems for everyone. From outside, everyone shows an advertisement department of a nice smile. Everyone has got a fair share of his or her own challenges. So we can empathize, at least sympathize, even if we don't know. We can sympathize with anyone. So Dashrath Maharaj's life, you know, just imagine there were no cases in his kingdom. Someone was having the rule on an entire country and no cases pending in the court, no beggar, no homeless people, okay, no problems in the kingdom. Who would not like to be such a person? And you're skilled, your body is like very good, you're handsome, you're respected everywhere. What else do you want in life? But he also had a problem. He didn't have any kids. And oh my lord, he would he would look at his ministers every day in the court. He has 2 kids, he has 10 kids. I have no kid. That was his situation. Anyway, finally one day he got some consultation with some very expert brahmanas, and he got to know that there is a yajna which he can do and he can get kids. So he did that yajna. These are the beautiful stories there, and eventually gets these 4 kids, all boys, and they were Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, Shatrugna. Okay, and these four, Dasharatha Maharaj was so happy to get these 4 sons, and they used to always fight. Why? And why was he happy? Because they used to fight that I want to serve you. I want to serve you. No, I want to serve you. Imagine such brothers. So Dasharatha was very, very happy. Eventually, Ram and Lakshman, as they grew as into teenage boys, there was this personality called Vishwamitra Muni. He was a sage, a very exalted one. And once he comes to Dasharatha Maharaj's court, and Dasharatha Maharaj gives him a promise in high emotions that whatever you say, whatever service you want, I'll do it. Just name it. I give you a promise. I give you my commitment. And then this guy asks for Ram and Lakshman to take them to his ashram to kill some Rakshasas, man-eating Rakshasas, dangerous Rakshasas, demons. And now what to do? Dasharatha Maharaj had given his word. So he cried a lot, but then he had to give. And Ram and Lakshman, they go off to the forest, roaming around with this Vishwamitra Muni. And Vishwamitra Muni knew who Lord Ramchandra was in reality. So they go to various places. There is a section of Ramayana called Balkand, and in that there are a lot of chapters after chapters like describing the conversations and the travels of Vishwamitra Muni and Lord Ram and Lakshman. And what amazing historical knowledge, like his knowledge of spiritual history of the planet they share. Very beautiful. Eventually they reach his ashram, and Ram and Lakshman actually, without a sweat, they kill those 14,000 Rakshasas. But Ram leaves one of them, Marich, just one of them. Later on, uh, Vishwamitra Muni takes him to Mithila. Okay. Doesn't directly go back to Ayodhya. It takes him to Mithila, which is now on the border of Nepal and the Indian state of Bihar, but in Nepal. So this was Janakpuri, where Sita was there. Sita was the most exquisite, chaste, beautiful, and most cultured girl of the entire planet. And so many kings lined up, princes lined up to have Swayamvara, to fulfill the competition in which, like, if they fulfill that, then they can get Sita's hand in marriage. But then they could not. It was tough. They had to lift this huge bow and then string it. And they were, forget about lifting, they couldn't even move it. Okay. So people often say in Vedic times or in India, in the Indian culture, they mistreated women or they disrespected women. Come on. Have you ever heard of Swayam Vadhu? No. But Swayamvar, yes. That's how high regards women were given. You know. So people may say whatever they may want to say, but we have to look at the reality. Anyways, eventually Lord Ram wins Sita in marriage. And that description is so touching, actually, that entire description. And what kind of qualities Valmiki Muni says a girl looks for in a boy, ideally. Today, the people, to marry anyone, a girl or a boy, they just look at the external figure or complexion or the size of the credit card, you know, yeah, or the number of influencer on the social media and all that. But truly, a person is known by his character and qualities, and that is so beautifully described in that section of Ramayana. We're not getting into that section; it takes a lot of time. It's really worth like reading or listening to. So later on, they get married, and then they come eventually to Ayodhya. And as time progressed more, one fine day, Dashrath Maharaj looks into the mirror and he sees the first white hair on his head. Oh my God. This is a notice that I should now retire from the active material life and I should go to the forest. Now, if that rule had to be applied today, hardly anyone, only some new babies, infant babies would probably be left in the cities. But Dasharath Maharaj had this thing that my responsibility is to hand over the kingdom to a next capable person. And there was Ram. I mean, he had this clear thought. Obviously, Ram is the best person. But he was thinking, how will I propose it to my ministers? They love me so much. So he goes to the court and he's preparing himself. How will I pitch it? Okay. I need to like convince them. And he just says, I've been thinking that I should retire, and I'm thinking that I can install Ram as the next Prince Regent. And the moment the news sank in them, the idea, they went crazy in joy. Hari bol, Hari bol. He said, "What happened?" They said, "This is the best decision you ever took." Should I have I been that bad a king? That you are so joyful that this is the best decision I ever took? No, no, no. You are the best human being on the planet to rule Ayodhya. But when you talk about Ram, it's a different category. There is good, better, best, and there is Ram. You are the best amongst humans. Ram is Ram. And my God, Dasharatha was so happy. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And then this news spread like wildfire. And before it could reach everyone in the palace, there was this lady called Manthara, a very crooked lady. Externally also crooked and internally also. So she was a maid servant, so she approached her master, who was KKE. And this KKE was one of the three principal queens. So she was listening to some songs and enjoying, in the balcony of the palace. And this mantra approached her. And mantra said, "Oh, you are smiling and enjoying? That means you have not heard the news yet." "What news?" "Let it be, you won't understand." "No, no, what news?" So this is a way to make someone curious. And then this KK and this mantra releases the news. They have planned to create a problem in your life. She said, "What? What problem? Have you not heard? They couple of days later they're going to install Ram as the next king of Ayodhya." And KK burst into so much joy. "What a news you have brought! This is fantastic. This is ecstatic. Ram loves all of us so much. We all love Ram. He'll be the best king ever." And then immediately she took out some golden necklaces and gave to Mantra as gift, like for the joyous news she has given. And Mantra said, "You are not understanding only." Then Mantra started poisoning. Just like your laptop, you just put a little pen drive containing virus. All it takes is few moments, right? One wrong association. So Mantra was like that virus, that pen drive. And now Mantra started talking. And she said, there will be three problems if Ram becomes the king. First, as soon as Kaushalya becomes the Maharani, because Kaushalya is the mother of Ram, she will make sure your life becomes hell. So KK didn't buy this idea much. Second, as soon as Ram becomes the king, he will make your son's life, Bharat's life, hell. And third, as soon as Ram becomes the king and Dashrath steps down, you know, KK's father, Kaushalya's father will attack on your father's kingdom and will defeat your father. Because he has been waiting because Dashrath has been the king till now. And when Ram becomes, that's it, his grandson. And somehow KK bought in the idea. And then KK came up with this nefarious plan of, putting Ram into the forest, banishing him, and having Bharat as the. And this itself, made every person in Ayodhya so unhappy because they loved Ram. They wanted to commit suicide, but then they went with Ram to the forest instead. But of course, Ram assured that I'm returning back after 14 years. Please stay there and please be alive. Don't commit suicide. Now, back in Ayodhya, what happened? After a couple of days, Bharat returns. Bharat actually was in his grandfather's home that time, like maternal grandfather's home. So he didn't know. Thanks, those days there was no social media. Apples and blueberries were simply fruits. So When Bharat returns, he finds a very gloomy Ayodhya. And when he talks to, he doesn't find anyone practically. Sita and even Dashrath had died in separation from Ram. So then he finds only Keikei and he talks to Keikei. Keikei says, I've kept such a great gift for you, my dear son. And when he hears the entire narrative of Keikei, he blasts Keikei like anything. He brings out his sword. He says, I would have killed you right away. Had I not known, had I not been knowing that Ram would not be happy if I kill you. Because Ram loves you. You may love Ram or not. Ram loves you. Ram would never agree to this idea of killing you. But he said that I reject you from being my mother today onwards. And I'm disgusted that I was born from your womb. And this transformed KK's heart. When she heard how much Bharat loved Ram. So see, here is a very important lesson. What is the source of knowledge in our life? Whose association do we keep? Same KK who was spoiled by the association of Mantra, who carried that virus of envy in her heart, that very same KK was transformed back by associating with antivirus Bharat. Correct? Because Bharat had love in his heart. It just doesn't matter what we are getting, but it also matters what is the source. When your mother cooks food for you, you feel so satisfied eating that food because mother cooks generally for her kids with selfless love. And when you eat food which is cooked with a commercial mindset, that food is also having that consciousness. It doesn't satisfy fully. When you eat prasadam in the temple, oh, because it was cooked for Lord with devotion, right? So similarly in the Gita, here it says that the knowledge which is coming from the scriptures has come either from the mouth of the Supreme Lord, which is totally filled with pure love, or it comes from the great sages like Vyasadev, Shukadev Goswami, Valmiki Muni. And therefore that knowledge actually it doesn't just appeal to our IQ, okay, or our intellect. It actually has the ability to transform our hearts because that is the association we are taking of them through that knowledge. You know. So I guess our time is up. But I'll just take 5 minutes more to conclude. From this hot seat, we can see people becoming restless, looking at the watch. So I wish to be invited again in future. So I'll just be like 5 to 10 minutes max. Because I should conclude properly. Very good. So, okay, let me crack a joke first, because it helps people to cool down. But of course, in the same line of knowledge. So, Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, he used to say this one thing: half knowledge is also dangerous. You must have heard of this, like half knowledge, because some people, they only capture half knowledge. Like sometimes doctors also, some assistant doctor catches only half knowledge and he tries it on someone else. Very dangerous. Or sometimes somebody copies half code, tries to complete the rest. Very dangerous. So there was this one guy um, who had this half knowledge. So he went to a course like where this nowadays they give na, I'll make you a speaker, like only in $10 you can attend my workshop online and all. Na? So there was this person who went to a physical workshop where this guy was teaching how to become a master speaker. And this person, one of the things he said was like 10 pointers he talked about giving a good presentation, power presentation. And first thing he teaches is your beginning should be dhamakedar, explosive. Okay. So now this guy, oh, beginning should be explosive. So like he gives an example. He begins with an opening statement. He says either you should begin with statistics or a big question which puts people to think, or some kind of quotation or some story or some, you know, a statement which really surprises people. So like he gives an example. So he begins his talk saying, the best moment of my life, the best moments of my life were in the arms of a woman who was not my wife. Wow. People, oh. And then next statement, she was my mother. And our guy is also very impressed. Very nice. So then he goes to his village to try. He announces a big program and all, big stage. And then he starts. He thinks, let me copy the first beginning is like it should be explosive. And what an explosive beginning he had done. I was totally impressed. So let me begin same way. So then he says, the best moments of my life were in the arms of a woman who was not my wife. And people were so confused. They were looking at him like, what nonsense? Have you come to help us or, destroy our culture? And that made him forget the next line. They brought him down, rascal. So he realized, half knowledge quite dangerous. Similarly, some people, in the name of spiritual life, they open some new age organization, new age spiritual life, isn't it? Some people even say by spirituality means to do sins. They may have certain sins in list. So therefore, Prabhupada wrote this Bhagavad Gita as it is, not interpreted or not manipulated. And you can see, before Prabhupada wrote the Gita, there were more than 900 editions all over the world. You know that? More than 900 editions of Bhagavad Gita. But when Prabhupada's Gita came out, in just a matter of few years, it transformed so many hearts. In fact, Prabhupada would say, English was not even my first language. So, especially in those days, Prabhupada's English, if you see his lectures, most of the sentences end in dot, dot, dot. He doesn't even complete the sentences. But the content was so sincere and pure. The intent uh, was so selfless that it transformed people's hearts. Here in Tompkins Square Park, Prabhu took me mercifully first time. And at Tompkins Square Park was he showed me that tree where Prabhupada began chanting Hare Krishna. And eventually he started at 26 Second Avenue. He started Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Bhagavad Gita classes, 7 p.m. And you know what he would do? He would start Kirtan, half an hour Kirtan, 20 minutes Bhagavad Gita class, and then again half an hour Kirtans, and then Prasad. Because Prabhupada knew that Kirtan and Prasad are the best. But yeah, he also slowly started increasing the knowledge part. And that knowledge today, as we discussed in the beginning, all over the world, ISKCON movement, what it is doing, billions of meals, feeding to so many kids and poor people, and especially in India, so many hearts transformed, so many animals saved, cows, right? So many eco villages. So today, at least, world has so much sanity, additionally, because of Srila Prabhupada's effort. That is the effect of this knowledge. So one last thing, here in New York, there was a case, there was a lawsuit, okay, against ISKCON devotees in 1970s. You know what was that? ISKCON is brainwashing people, and people are changing their lifestyles. So this case was filed, okay, officially. And when the court hearing was there, so Prabhupada told the devotees who had never even attended any college, okay, Prabhupada told, you go and fight the case for us. They said, Prabhupada, how will we fight? Prabhupada said, you give the evidence. They said, what evidence? Prabhupada said, we have so much knowledge. Do we have dearth of knowledge? So they said, what do you mean, Prabhupada? Prabhupada said, start reading our books in front of the judge. Tell him we have so much evidence. He used to hear the entire evidence. So Prabhupada, that may be, Prabhupada said, but that may be what? That may be quite lengthy. Prabhupada said, so what? They are putting a case on us. We will transform court into Bhagavatam class. Prabhupada said, temple is like court because we have to convince people, right? Not material life, spiritual life. You have to give arguments. You have to give quotations, right? Prabhupada, similarly, if our temple is behaving like a spiritual court, transform the court into a temple. And start. He said, from where? Prabhupada said, from the first verse of the Gita. Every hearing, one verse. Read the verse and explain it. Wow. So they started doing. Every hearing, one verse. And Bhagavad Gita class. And the judge was like, after 3-4 hearing, he said, how many you have? So he said 700 verses. And judge was, 700? He said, yeah, that's in the first book, Gita. And he said, how many books? He said, next is Bhagavatam, 18 books. Okay, 12 cantos, 18 books, 18 volumes. And then Chaitanya Charitamrita, 11 books. Then you have more? Yeah, many more. Just give me time till next week. Let me think about it. The judge calls up his professor friend, okay, in New York University or somewhere. I don't know where. That part I don't know. Some professor in some university he calls. He was a professor of philosophy. And this professor fortunately had read Prabhupada books, some of them. So he consulted it. Do you know about this? Oh yeah. So this was a guy of philosophy, right? So he loved Prabhupada books. He said, their philosophy is most authentic. It is the oldest and it makes total sense. And these guys are like living the best life. And the judge came and the next hearing he said, no, I've done sufficient hearing both the sides. Now verdict. And he said, this is totally bona fide movement. They're not brainwashing, they're brain clearing. Because Prabhupada had given one of these arguments to devotees. Their brain is filled with stool, we're washing it. It's good only, na? Because they are having so many selfish thoughts. We're actually cleaning that up and we're replacing it with selfless thoughts, which are good for society, good for them. And so devotees won the case. And that brought them good publicity. So bhakti means transforming curses into blessings, transforming challenges into opportunities. So we have got a bad bargain here, by coming to material world, by having this material body. But bhakti means, getting the best out of the bad bargain. In fact, it doesn't even remain a bad bargain. you know. So this is what this transcendental knowledge can do for all of us. And the essence of this knowledge is that we love Krishna. And when we love Krishna, who is the Supreme Lord, we will love everyone else in this world because he loves everyone. Just like when you marry someone, you start loving whom that person also loves. So similarly, when you love Krishna, you will come to a life where in everyone's joy you will find your joy. Just imagine where you see anyone happy and you become happy. Para dukha dukhi, para sukha sukhi. And there is a concept called Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That entire world is our family. People ask sometimes in India to us brahmacharis that, come on, you left your family? No, we just expanded our family. We were limited to some few people's family. Now the entire world, entire society is our family. Jai. So thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to share this knowledge, this transcendental knowledge. And I thank and congratulate all of you once again for making very good choices. You'll never regret these choices of spending your valuable time and energy and investing your desires, thoughts, your resources in Krishna consciousness, this path of Bhakti Yoga. And this has a proven track record of last not only 7 decades from ISKCON's point of view, but as we discussed, like Arjuna 5,000 years back and much more. So this is Sanatan Dharma, eternal form of spiritual life. So I wish all the best, and I pray for all of you that may you have a life like Arjuna or Draupadi. You have great competence and success in your careers. May your families remain united. May you have a healthy life, and may you also progress in your devotional service towards the Supreme Lord, so that you become a well-wisher and so that you become a contributor, a benefactor of this world and society. Hare Krishna. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. Thank you, Arjuna. Yeah, some of you, please, you may be getting late. So, and others, if anyone has any comments or questions, maybe we can discuss for 5-10 minutes.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Prasad, everyone has knowledge of. Yes, Prabhu. Anything from our discussion or anything outside our discussion? Yeah, yeah, Phil Prabhu. You have any mic for him? Okay, just go ahead. Maybe I'll repeat.
So when the son of KK,
Yeah, Bharat.
Bharat, spoke to her, he spoke extremely harsh words.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's Vidura, same thing with, but it seems like because even though they said things that are on the surface very
Yeah.
harsh,
Yeah.
you said because of the love in their heart,
Right.
it changed and transformed that
Right.
person. So I was curious, how does that work? How can it be that even though you say something that to someone else, they might say, how could you possibly say that to your family?
Yeah.
Because of what's in their heart, it does a positive effect instead of pushing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like voltage, Prabhu. If you have a high voltage transmission of power, you also need very strong wires, very strong cables. You know that, right? To the degree you have the voltage is high, the the thickness of the wires also needs to be very bigger. Similarly, for anyone to chastise someone, the relationship has to be very strong. So the relationships, the two relationships which you quoted, I suppose you're talking about Vidura and Dhritarashtra, first canto, 13th chapter. Vidura had served Dhritarashtra as a very loyal consultant, as a very loyal counsel and brother for decades and decades and decades, and very positively, very successfully. So that deposition in relationship was already there, that investment. So that credibility and trust factor was already established, and therefore he could go overboard in the intensity. Similarly, in Bharat and KK had actually done everything actually lovingly for her son. She was convinced of it. She was wrong, but she was convinced that this is right. And Bharat was her son. She could never not love her son, right? And Bharat knew that. So Bharat took the opportunity to say whatever he wanted. But in general, yeah, we can't do that. If, see, sometimes if a very small kid speaks some very harsh words, people are fine. Or a very elderly guy, a grandmother or a grandfather, they may people say, okay, fine, it's okay. They deserve to say. But in general, between two people, even husband and wife, or two brothers or two friends, they may not be able to take it. It depends. It's like bank, Pro. How much, how much amount can you withdraw from your debit card? How much you have deposited before? So if any relationship you have invested a lot before, then you can withdraw. Hare Krishna. Any other thing anyone wants? Yeah.
So I have a question about this. So in chapter 3, it says like we shouldn't disturb the mind of an ignorant person.
Right.
And then we also give knowledge because, and then in that we also put our understanding, our thoughts into explaining something. So how can we avoid disturbing someone and yet give them the knowledge that needs to get?
So, knowledge is not just given, Prabhu, immediately, and knowledge is not just given by speaking only. It is said in the Gita that knowledge should be spoken, but in a way, even in the Bhagavatam, it is said in conversation between Vyasdev and Narad Muni, knowledge should be spoken in such a way that it is palatable to the person. So, who should speak to whom, in what way, okay, and when? These these are the things which a mature person can understand, right? Like you need to correct someone, but then who should correct? Even in a family, like let's say the husband and wife have two kids. So sometimes it happens like the wife says, "See, your son, has not got good marks this time in his school. Okay, so just see to it." What does she say? Your son, because that son hears only the father, and sometimes the daughter hears only the mother. So the father, if he observes that the daughter is staying late in the night and watching the TV, so he will not say anything. He will come to the wife and say, please tell our daughter, please tell your daughter. You understand? They know that this kid listens more to that parent, so they also work as a team. Similarly, if you have to, uh, if someone has to be enlightened, again, you have to see what is the right forum, what is the right time. Somebody is going to office. You can't say, now I'll give you the knowledge of the Gita. He may not be able to hear, you know, some the time, the atmosphere, okay, and which person should speak, in what way you should be speaking. Even the like you can't be having it very cold or very hot, and again the person will, or if he's very hungry, again. So these parameters have to be maturely taken care of to effectively convey the knowledge. These are communication skills, yeah, or these are interpersonal um, uh, relationship skills, right? Therefore, we have, if we can maintain very good relationships, then it becomes very easy to help each other. Make sense? Hare Krishna. That's why I always have good prasad. You know, feed people nicely, and then also feed their hearts nicely. Good, right? Like you have good music, then people are ready to chant Hare Krishna. So that good music is not the essence. That is like a medium. But the Mahamantra, the holy name of the Lord, that is the essence. Hare Krishna. Okay, I guess we should stop here. Thank you
Prabhu,
once again. Yeah, yes, Prabhu.
um, yes,
Okay,
actually,
one
I'm
question only.
having one. I need one help actually.
Yeah, please.
Uh, so the thing is, in my daily life, I'm struggling with one thing, which I want to try uh, to reduce it, but I don't know. I'm trying meditation, yoga, reading Bhagavad Gita, but still, sometimes for a few days it stops and then again it starts. Like negativity and overthinking. How to stop it?
Yeah, it's Prabhu Gita says go for higher taste. Okay, higher taste means param drishtva nivartate. So, like, how should I avoid eating mm, the regular bread in the market? So, if I come to the temple, or if my mother cooks for me, if my wife cooks for me, and if I get very good, fresh chapatis, paranthas, okay, sabjis, okay, very good sweet pulao, juice, then I won't even remember those breads. So instead of telling me not to eat bread, just give me the better things, better alternative. Similarly, if you try to argue with your mind, fight with your mind, that don't do this, don't think of this, it's very difficult. So outsource
Mm,
outsource the task of controlling your mind in the hands of Krishna. And that is why Krishna rode the chariot of Arjuna. Krishna wanted to show us, even if you are as skilled as Arjuna, you may face a challenging situation in your life where your life may be at stake. So what do? You give the ropes of your chariot. The chariot represents our life or our body, and those ropes, they represent the control of our life. So let Krishna guide my life in the battlefield of this world. This life is almost like a war, internally and externally. So if we allow Krishna to guide our life, which direction I should go, which direction I should not go, what speed I should go, so therefore fill your mind and your time, you know and your engagements with spiritual things. So otherwise, emptied mind is a devil's workshop. So you must be having your job or your school to attend. Other than that, you fill your morning, evening, your weekend, or even your thoughts and desires with Krishna conscious desires. Okay, and you will see there will no longer be any time left for Maya or wrong things. You can ask the devotees who are there in the
okay.
temple, if they get extra time after more than 24 hours, they'll sleep. Correct, Prabhus?
Makes sense.
Honestly, because they have already filled their 24 hours so much with Krishna conscious positive engagements. There is no room for. Some people ask me, okay, in India, you've been traveling to US, don't you feel disturbed sometimes? I said, with what? There sometimes, like the scenes which you might not have seen in India, you might be. I said, which scenes? I don't see anything because life is so busy. Everything is faded except for what we have to do. Like in Zoom, you have, na? everything else gets faded, right? Because you're focused on, I mean, that screen allows you to focus on that one person whom you want to hear. Similarly, Prabhu, पश्यनपि न पश्यति, आप देखकर भी नहीं देखोगे. Even those things may be around you, you will not, just like a lotus flower, it doesn't get affected, okay? You know, Padma Patra Ivam Bhasa, the water droplet, they don't affect the lotus flower. Its leaves are made like that. So similarly, make yourself immune by maximizing Krishna element in your life, other than your like professional duties, your family duties. You know, you are taking care of your health and all. Other than that, totally like don't leave any gap for Maya. Does that help, bro?
Yes. Yes. It helped a lot actually. I just got the answer what I need
Thank
to
you.
do. So thank you so much.
Thanks to Krishna, he spoke the verse originally. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So let's thank Prabhu for an enlightening session. Gita is now chanting.
Thank you, Arjuna.
Prabhu is also there with us for next 2-3 days. So he'll be sharing more of his wisdom morning and evening. You can come join online or come in person. Please feel free to do so. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Prasadam is there downstairs. Please join. Thank you.